Live from Oulton Park Circuit in the UK. Welcome everybody to the Spec Racer Forward Weekend Warriors Series presented by 42 Stitches. We're here for round 11 at Oulton Park, and we are using the international layout, but we're not using the Hislop chicane. So the drivers have an extra overtaking opportunity into the Briton chicane. My name is Dane Baird, and alongside me in the commentary booth for today's action is Jim Hodgson with Marco Barbanera up in the production booth. And Jim, we've seen a lot of great racing throughout the first 10 rounds of the season, and with just 2 to go, it's crunch time in the championship.
Absolutely. Going to be a great race today. A slightly abbreviated grid, but no less amount of fun as we see one of the cars get a little bit loose there on the front straight, it looked like. So, yeah, it's going to be a great race. You mentioned just off mic before we got started how accurate this weather is. I'm interested to hear a little more about that.
Yeah, so this series, they host the sessions themselves, and they try to use weather that, as accurately as possible, reflects the current conditions in the circuit of choice. And being in the UK at the moment, I can tell you that it is very, very foggy, and I think it's been constant fog for the last 4 days. It hasn't stopped being foggy the whole weekend, really. So the fog in today's session accurately matches that. I think it's probably a good time to get up the championship standings. Then we've got 2 classes, of course. Spec 1 for the drivers above 3,000 iRacing, and Spec 2 for everyone else. And Spec 1 standings are as follows. Rafael Barbigal up on top with 644 points. Then Gorka Itaret just behind. Austin Winner in third. Then Rodrigo Duran, Forenz Arabian, Daniel Sadro, David Bohm, Ian Haycox, Jeff Fritcher, and Andre Bertoni in 10th. He is about 167 points behind the leader, but up at the top, pretty close for the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th positions. That's the top 10 for Spec 1. Let's have a look at Spec 2 then. And it is Antonio Race. Absolutely dominant so far in the series. He's been up there at the top of the overall standings at the end of each race. So no surprise to see him up at the top of Spec 2. Then Bob Kern, Maxime de Thomason, Kenneth Bately, Miro Hraski, Simon Mayer, Yuri Cox, Jeff Jacobson, Paul Jackson, and Ian Gibson rounding out the top 10 in Spec 2. You can differentiate between Spec 1 drivers and Spec 2 drivers because Spec 2 drivers all have car numbers over 200. So currently looking at qualifying then, the top driver in Spec 2 at the moment is Mayer, down in 18th. He is driving the number 308 car. But looking at Rafael Barbigal just a moment ago, leading. Unsurprisingly, he's leading the standings, so it's not too surprising to see him leading qualifying as well. And we can see the weather on the right-hand side.
Absolutely. It's nice to see the cars. Looks like they're turning in some times here. 148. It seems a little slow to me, Dane, but that must be down to sort of the beginning of the session and or weather. What are your thoughts?
Absolutely. The track temperature is around about 78 degrees Fahrenheit, which is fairly warm, I would say, for this circuit. It doesn't really get too hot here. And there is a car entering the pit lane, and the pit lane is very difficult here, and drivers may find themselves with a pit box very close to that pit entry. So that is something to watch out for in the race. But as qualifying comes to an end, the checkered flag is out. Drivers still finishing up their laps. It's time to thank our sponsor for the series, 42 Stitches, for full custom service apparel. Decoration, check out 42 Stitches. They specialize in embroidery and heat transfer and can take your idea from sketch to finished product. Everything from shirts to hats to masks and gaiters. Check them out at 42stitches.com or shoot them an email at info@42stitches.com to get your project started. 42 Stitches has you covered, and they have this series, the Spec Racer Forward Weekend Warrior Series, covered as well. So big thanks to them for sponsoring this series, as qualifying is well over 2 minutes over time now. Checkered flag has been waving for quite some time, and just a few drivers still out on the circuit. Weatherly Romaninski, who we can see now heading down the back straight. He has set all of the remaining laps that he can. He has already finished qualifying, I believe, but he is still out there, just making use of the additional time for a bit of practice, as is Doherty as well. But these drivers making their way through from the chopper cam, you can almost not see the cars. It's so foggy out there.
Yeah, the blimp cam isn't so much flying as floating in all that water.
Yeah, and we can see heading into probably the most difficult corner on the circuit. Really fast right-hander, no margin for error at all, because there is some grass on the outside there that will really send you into that barrier, which is very close on the outside as well. Everyone is kicked very unceremoniously off the circuit then. That means qualifying is over, and they're going to start gridding up for the rolling start here. Only a couple corners before we get going. Once the formation lap starts, here is the grid then. Rafael Berbagal with a 148.355. That's good enough for pole position for him in his number 23 machine. Rodrigo Duran will start alongside, 3/10 behind in qualifying. Gorka Riteret starts on third position on the grid with Maurizio Naselli alongside him. And the third row, Austin Winner and Ian Haycox rounding out for 5th and 6th. Jeff Fritcher, Mitch Weatherly, Michael DeBeck and Alan Schneider rounding out the top 10 with Yoni Zoritz, Dominique Barreau in row 6. Then we've got Larry McLeod, David Bohm, Mick Carr, Yancey Lin, Dan Sadro, Simon Mayer, Miro Hrasky and Antonio Race in 20th with Chris Murakami in 21st, Gorka Astabe in 22nd, Yuri Cox in 23rd, and Bobby West in 24th. Next up, Jim McGill, Ken Bately, Adam Bradshaw, Greg Stefani, Ian Gibson, and Brian Short rounding out the top 30. Just Simpkins, Bob Kern, Paul Jackson, Ed Doherty, Tom Gradwell, and Jeff Jacobson in 36th. Down at the bottom there, Paul Romaninski, Samuel Dick, and Mark Geehan in 39th as the drivers. Just setting off here then for the formation corners, I would say. It's not a whole lap. We're right near the end of the circuit. That corner in the distance is the final corner. We're about to get going then.
That was a lot of names, Dan. Well done on that.
That's nothing compared to what we normally have. We're used to seeing up to 60 cars in this field, and because of the limitations of Oulton Park, we can only have 40 drivers on the grid, and only 39 are out on track at the start of this race then. Coming around the final corner, Berbagal controlling the field. He is getting ready. The pace car pulls into the right-hand side. Into the pit lane, the pace car goes. And the green flag is in the air. And we're racing. Down towards turn number 1. It's a great start for Berbagal. The 3 Volcano cars lead. A little bit of contact between Duran and Iterret. Puts Iterret on the back foot. Neseli looks to the inside, but he's got a winner on his outside now. Still side by side. Meanwhile, Berbagal's checked out a bit into the lead. Into the Cascades they go for the first time winner. Down the inside of Neseli and up into 4th then. Neseli has to settle for 5th, but it is still the Volcano cars 1, 2 and 3 as we are so used to seeing in this series. It seems as though most drivers have made it through the field very cleanly. Very clean start here at the difficult, tight and twisty Oulton Park circuit. In towards the hairpin now they go for the first time. Single file most of the field, but that, who was that? That looks like Yancy Lin, potentially Bohm, making a move down the inside there into the hairpin, but mostly single file for the top 10 drivers. That's right on board then with Gorka Iterret looking behind at Winner. Only won once this season, I believe. Down into the only chicane on the circuit. Remember, we're not using that first pit-stop chicane. This is going to be a major overtaking opportunity. I think we just saw Bohm in the foreground of that shot, making a move up the inside. He has had to settle for 13th. He's got Yanni Zoritz just ahead, but it wasn't Bohm I was thinking of. It was Mayer trying to make a move on Larry McLeod in 14th. And we're not able to get past Gorka Iterret. Berbagal losing out a bit of positions. And who is that? Weatherly dropping down the order. That number 4 car not looking very happy. He was off not too far off the circuit, but just enough for him to lose quite a bit of time. The grass is very slippery here, and he has now got quite some work to try and get back up where he was as everyone starts lap number 2.
Yeah, Winner was a really, I mean, he, well, I wanted to call him a big winner on lap number 1, but that is in fact his last name. But he gained a lot of slots there, and it was exactly, as you said, pretty clean racing on that first lap. Unfortunate for Weatherly, and I think I saw Sadro losing a couple of places as well. He's just lost another one to Murakami. Unfortunate. Not sure exactly what was going on back in the rear of the field there, but it looks like they are battling it out. Sadro is going to try to take that place back if he can.
No overtaking opportunity into towards turn number 4. Another one of the tricky corners. Very, very easy with all the dust on the inside to lose the rear end. And then into the hard braking zone of the hairpin. Nice and banked. It's one of the most satisfying corners on the circuit to get right. But let's skip up to the top of the field. Duran getting bump drafted by... Duran bump drafting his teammate. We're riding on board with Berbegal. And these two drivers trying to make their way up further away from Gorka Itaret, who has got winner for company. Here is Bohm just on the brink of the top 10, but not quite. Zoritz ahead of him. And going back to Sadro, he is in 20th position, and he is his race is going pretty much as the same as the face on the front of his car.
I'm sure that Berbegal and Duran would like to, be able to open up a little gap between themselves and Iterate and Winner, but it just doesn't seem that they're quite able to get away, even though the two of them are working together, and I'm sure that Winner and Iterate are not.
We're used to seeing the three Volcano teammates working together at the top, but it seems like these two of Berbegal and Duran really willing to leave Gorka behind them. And he has got to fight his own battle on this occasion. He's about 4 tenths ahead of Austin Winner. Meanwhile, looks like Bohm's just got past Zoritz, but Zoritz wants some more. Looked to the inside on the kink just before the Cascades, but I don't think that was ever going to be open for him. Bohm ensuring that by slamming the door shut. The draft very powerful in these cars, and you can see it now. The 82 pulls to the inside. Are they going to go side by side through turn 4? Yes, they are. Zoritz down the inside. Bohm trying to hold it around the outside. Is he going to make a lunge into the hairpin? No, he's not. That was a fantastic move from Zoritz to move back up into 10th.
Yeah, very clean racing there. That's exactly what we're in this for. That's exactly what we want to see.
Let's see then, back up to the top. You can see if the drivers just magically appear over the crest there. Duran holding position behind his teammate. We're used to seeing a lot of bump drafting in these cars. The rear end can take quite a lot of punishment.
Looking at these place changes, Dane, I was thinking that Winner gained more spots than he did, but according to this, he only gained 1. I thought he had done a lot better than that, but he just was able to get around Maselli there. Still a pretty great first lap.
Yeah, it could have been a lot worse for him. We've seen a couple of drivers losing out big time, including Weatherly. You can see there, down 13. Satchel down 3 as well. Bohm back up the inside. I think that's exactly what he did on the previous occasion. Zoritz getting a little bit on the grass. He has now got... Who is that? That is Dominic Barraud just behind. Not looking to make a move just yet is the Canadian in the 108 car. But he is definitely now caught right up to these two. It looks like Bohm's line through the first corner, or at least the exit. Not as good as Zoritz. Zoritz seems to make up a lot of time through that first corner.
Yeah, it looks like they've got nearly 3 seconds from Bohm up to that next group, which looks like Dobek. And I don't know if they're going to be able to close that gap, being as how they're squabbling back and forth, but this battle between Bohm and Zoritz is great stuff. They seem to be really respecting one another, but also having a bit of fun.
That's what we love to see in the SRF Weekend Warriors. That gap of around a second between Berbegal and... Oh, Berbegal making a mistake. He's gone so deep, and Duran trying to go all the way around the outside. He's managed to do that, but look at that gap that I was about to talk about. Was 1 second. It is now nothing. Berbegal bump drafting his teammate. We get a lovely view of the rear suspension.
Oh,
look, yeah, Winner as well. These 4 drivers now in a huge train. Winner not having the best line through there, actually. He's really made a mistake there. A little bit on the grass is Gorka ahead of him, but he's lost out considerably. Well within drafting range still, though, so I would expect him to try and catch that up in no time. But it is, once again, the 3 Volcano cars separated by almost nothing between those 3 drivers. They come to start lap 5, and we approach the start of the pits window, which begins at around 12 minutes and ends at 28. So pit strategy is going to be interesting in this one, as always.
I think Winter really smelled blood in the water there. He probably saw that puff of smoke ahead in the chicane and was like, okay, here's my opportunity. And then, unfortunately, as that thought entered his mind, he was overdriving the car a little bit.
Oh, here comes Burbagal. That's a fairly hefty shunt from his teammate behind. In towards turn 4 they go through there. You can see the dust on the inside that I was talking about a little bit earlier. That's built up from all the drivers hitting that inside curb. There's quite a bit of dust on the inside there, and when you hit that curb, you bring it onto the circuit. And after a few passes through there, oh dear. After a few passes through there, the dirt builds up quite nicely. Bately, what has happened to him? He has lost a lot of positions and time there. He's dropping back considerably. There might have been some contact there, or potentially a mistake on the exit of the Cascades. So we'll have to see if maybe we can get a replay of that. Can we? Yes, we can. In towards the Cascades they go. Basically in the 222 machine. Through Cascades he goes. There's smoke up ahead. Oh dear. He's got on the grass and spun around, trying to avoid the car just ahead of him. I didn't quite catch who that was. But yeah, no contact involved at all. Just trying to avoid the incident ahead, and got on the grass just a bit. But that was enough to send him round.
This lead group is 9 cars. That's a pretty hefty group of cars all running so close together. It's Duran all the way down to Dobek before we get that break back to Bohm. So a really tight race at the front and all the way through the field, really.
Oh, Ray's going around the outside, trying it. He's still alongside. Actually, he's got past. That was a brilliant move. Oh, the number 07 car makes a move from the inside, turns around. He's still on the apex curb. Just about everyone avoids him, but that's Car, and he is dropping down the order. Who is that on the right-hand side? Just appearing on our screen, the 5, 6, 7 car. That's a Starway in that machine, but a Car, a little bit optimistic, made a send down the inside of Race, and it didn't work out for him. Meanwhile, Burbagal being allowed back into the lead of the race.
Interesting. You wonder if we're starting to see a little bit of pit strategy develop here. Maybe we're saving a little fuel.
Possibly. Fuel saving, especially between the Volcano cars. They always love to do this 3-way drafting ritual that they seem to do every single week and save quite a bit of fuel. You often see them coming out of the pits well ahead of everyone else. And the pit strategy seems to differ every time. Sometimes they come in early, sometimes they come out late. Sadro he's hit something pretty hard. Oh dear, he's had some help.
Yeah.
And there's quite a bit of damage on that car from quite a small tap to the wall.
Yeah, it was exactly as you say. It looked like he got a little bit of a boot there, but not a proper bump draft sort of in the center of the car, but more an off angle kick to the rear end, and that sent him around and sent him off the track. So, mistakes happen.
That they do. Some drivers running a bit wide there. You can afford to run wide here at Oulton Park on a couple of the corners, most notably turns 1 and 4. Sorry, actually, turns 1 and the outside of the Cascades. You can see there's a bit of alternative curbing. Some weird mixture of concrete that they've got on the outside of the corners here. As Cedro takes his repair, and off he goes. If he can do some fuel saving, he might be able to make it to the end of the race. But yeah, there's a bit of concrete on the outside of some of the corners, but there is an incident limit of 12 incident points before the drivers get a drive-through penalty, and then once they reach 20 points, that is them disqualified from the race. So they want to be limiting their off-track excursions as much as possible, and we've just reached the 12-minute mark, which means the pit window is now open. Let's see if anyone from the front of the field makes a trip down there in just a couple of corners time.
You know, being as how these three drivers are driving, you know, working so closely together, it wouldn't surprise me to see a sort of distributed pit strategy. You know, if they're really interested in the team win much more than the individual performance, but you know, all three of them are driving pretty well here, so I don't think there's too much of a concern there. But it wouldn't surprise me at all to see one of them dive in a little bit early. Where would they come out?
As race control, pit window is open. Marco Barbanera having a bit of a play with the SDK Gaming system that we've got running here. But Berbagal, none of the top drivers seeming to make their way into the pit lane. Yanni Zoritz is the first driver to make his way into the pit lane. The 205 car, he's onto the iRacing pit system. He's made his way right to the right hand side as soon as possible. He doesn't want to miss his pit box. The pit boxes for position 16, 17 are the pit boxes that just are really awkward when you make your way into the pits.
Yeah, it was as you say at the top of the broadcast. We've seen people get a penalty for that, and it is surprising. You know, as soon as you go past the cone, you have to crank the wheel as hard as you can, or you'll miss your pit box.
We've seen many drivers do that. Berbagal, Duran looking, I thought he was looking to take that lead back from his teammate, but he wasn't. He was just poking his nose out. His presence is very much known by the driver ahead, I'm sure. So no need to remind him, but yeah, just poking his nose out, and that is two cars with some damage, and they might have made contact. Let's have a look. In towards the hairpin. Gradwell. Oh. There was a bit of netcode with the car ahead, and then the 299 is turned around. And that is why he was going slowly. I believe that was Gradwell that we just saw being turned around there. Right, let's see. Anyone going to dive down into the pits? Not yet. Let's look in the background of the shot. No one from those top 9 drivers, from the top 12 even, as Yancy Lin passes as well. Nobody opting to take to the pits. There's one, the 4. That is Weatherly making his way into the tricky pit entrance, and he is not going to be subject to that awful. Oh, I've heard contact. There's been contact on the start finish straight. There is a car rolling down the start finish straight. What has happened there? I heard that before I saw it from that previous shot. Let's see. Down the start finish straight they go. The 5, 6, 7. Oh, just contact down the straight. Bang! Hard into the pit wall. And around and around and around he goes.
Wow. Well, some excellent camera work there from Marco, if not excellent driving necessarily. I enjoyed that shot.
That was a good shot, but as the commentator for most of the season, Avery McDonald, would say, you hate to see it. As we head towards lap 10, the drivers nearing the end of lap number 9. Volcano 123, as ever, winner just on the back of that train as well, but he has now got Naselli, Haycox, Fritz Snyder and De Beck all there as well. You can see that's a massive lead group of cars we've got. Around the final corner now. With 12 minutes left of the pit window, is anyone going to make their way into the pits? No, at least not from the front, but from the back. Actually, from the back of the pack, De Beck makes his way into the pit lane. He's got quite a lot of damage to that car, and he's going to take his repair and allow all of these drivers to pass him. Another couple drivers heading down to the pits. That is Carr. We saw him making having a bit of a spin earlier on, dropping him down the order. And you can see
nice
now
little
on
battle going on in the midfield there.
Yeah, absolutely. Involving Race who is Spec 2 Championship leader. Is he going to make an almighty send into the hairpin? No, he's not. It's a little bit conservative for him. A little bit wide for Barreau, but he cuts back across. Trying to make use of that banking to give him a bit of a boost of speed, maybe. You can see on the timing tower now, number of stops that drivers have made. And right now, De Beck is the leading driver. He's in 21st. No one inside of the top 20 has pitted yet. And you can see the gaps between the drivers, 30 seconds to De Beck from Berbergar, so maybe some indication. Oh, that was very, very loose from Barreau there. Very lucky to get away with that one. Race had to lift off a bit to avoid slamming into the back.
Yeah, well, and to avoid slamming into the side. I mean, Barreau's car was fully sideways.
Absolutely correct. As side by side, a little bit further back, that is the 5 and the 89th. Weston Bradshaw going side by side, just slightly behind Bradshaw, making a move up the inside, it seems. He's moved himself up into 16th. Has anyone made it into the pits from the top 9 or from the top 8? No, they have not. So holding it out for a bit. There's around 10 minutes left of the pit window. So maybe 5 laps, 5 passes of the pit entry before the drivers are going to start having some fuel troubles as Stefani heads into the pit lane.
You know, Dane, I was thinking that Winner was maybe kind of hanging back a little bit, just because he it seemed like there was a little gap forming there between him and these who were riding along board with him here. But he just turned in the fastest lap of the race so far, so he's no longer hanging back at a 1:48.6.
Yeah, when making use of the draft a little bit there, but you can see he's lifting and coasting into the corners, saving fuel all the while, which means his pit stop will be shorter. He'll have to take on less fuel to make it to the end of the race. Berbergal is going to have none of that. He's been out in front for the majority of this race, so he's going to have potentially quite a much longer pit stop when they end up going into the pit lane. Duran able to just hang back a bit and save all of the fuel by lifting and coasting, because the draft just pulls you right back. You can hear Winner really lifting and coasting quite a lot into all of these corners. No one from the top 4 or 5 cars makes it down the pit lane once again.
Yeah, interesting to think about the sort of the mathematics that are going on in these drivers' heads and their apps and, you know, all that. I think if I'm Berbergal, I probably just stay out. I mean, why not? You know, no reason to have to deal with traffic if you don't have to, right?
Yeah, leave it as late as possible. Everyone else is already pitted. You won't have to come back out in front of or just behind slower cars that you wouldn't have already had to pass. So yeah, that makes quite a bit of sense for some of the other drivers. I would say the Volcano drivers will all come in at the same time as they normally do, but potentially for Winner it might be worth it to come out a bit earlier. There is quite a substantial gap between West in 17th and De Beck in 18th. De Beck is the highest driver to have pitted. Still, I believe there is around about 14-second gap that he will slot right into Winner if he makes his way into the pits. But then of course he won't have that draft from the driver ahead, so it's a balancing act as Lynn tries to make his way up the inside of McLeod, and he does that successfully into the chicane. He moves himself up into the top 10.
Well done. Nice looking pass there. We have another one here, just heading down the hill into the chicane. I think that was West on Bradshaw. We're really seeing some great clean racing up there. A few incidents, but nothing so bad as it can be.
As we always do here on the Spec Racer Forward Weekend Warriors Series. They never disappoint, as Eddie Zoretz just ahead of Jackson. Zoretz has definitely pitted. I am not sure about Jackson though. He's got quite a bit of damage to the rear of his car. As Jackson in that 249 car. And now we can see on the timing tower the lap that each driver pitted on. As Bohm, from, I believe, from 8th, has now pitted. and he's dropping down the order. He pits on lap 12 as he's going to start lap 13 as he exits the pits. Berbigal, Duran and Itaret still leading, but the gaps between the top 6 drivers, about 0.3 of a second between all of them.
Yeah, absolutely right. Very close. We did have that lead group of 9 is down more like 5 or 6 now, but still a lot of close racing at the sharp point of the field here. We got 6 cars, yes. Now, if you're in Naselli or Haycox, I'm thinking, why not go ahead and pit, and maybe you can throw, kind of throw some randomness into it. You never know what kind of traffic the leaders are going to have to face. Why not? But yeah, I think if I'm the Volcano drivers, I just stay where I am. This is Bradshaw looking like he had a little run on West there, but not able to make anything of it.
Yeah, those two going at it for most of the race so far, swapping positions back and forth. Race. He's not had the race I would expect. The last couple of races, he's not been as quick as one might expect him to. After his overall podium at Monza, just a few weeks ago. He was really flying for a good few consecutive weeks and dropping off the pace of the leaders just slightly. But dropping off slightly in a 60-car field, or a 40-car field in this case.
Well, he was running...
Yeah, you dropped quite far back.
He's running 4th in class, right, in Spec 2. So, it's not too terrible.
Someone just went into the pits behind. That was Murakami.
Yeah.
He's going to drop back quite a few positions now. I'm still waiting for the very unlucky person, who gets that pit box. Let's see. I'm gonna go and do some research and see who I think that might be, so we can prepare ourselves for the show that's going to be when they realise that their pit box is about 5 meters ahead of the car.
We can play a little game called Terrible Pit Box Bingo, and whoever ends up with it, well, they don't win a prize; they just feel sad. Well. While that research is going on, the race continues much as it did a few moments ago. Here are your leaders coming around through the chicane there. The Volcano group. Still very close. Winner just behind them with Naselli and Haycox for company. They've got to be looking at their wristwatches here and thinking to themselves, if I don't make a move pretty soon, it's not going to happen during this race, being as we are into the latter half of the race, even if none of these guys have pitted. So there's a little bit of a sort of a standoff going on track here. Who is going to come into the pits first? Not being familiar with the Volcano Racing team, we have just heard from Mr. Baird that they like to pit together. So it'll be an interesting moment when this entire pack of 6 drivers at the lead of the race all dive into the pits at the same time, as we see Naselli and Haycox indeed go into the pit lane. So those were the 2 drivers running in 5th and 6th. And that is Schneider as well, who's entered pit lane. So let's see how long Naselli and Haycox decide to stay there in the pits. Timer just running here at the bottom of your screen. And Bradshaw's also come into the pit lane. And that is Haycox is first away, but nearly side by side there with the number 1 car of Naselli. And they pop back out. Haycox and Naselli run in P12 and P13. Schneider just behind, but nice. They got some clear air there, so if those 2 guys are on a Discord with one another, they'll be saying, "Hey, let's do a little bumping and running and see if we can make some time up on this field." How's the research going?
Will I think it's Lin, Yanti Lin and Mayer, I believe. One of those 2 is going to have that pit box, and Lin currently getting a lovely push from McLeod there down that straight. He must have had an almighty run, and Lin actually outbraking himself slightly there because of the extra speed he's just been donated. Let's see. Surely these drivers are going to have to pit now. It will be beyond 28 minutes and the next time that they pass it. So let's see. 27 minutes on the clock. I expect him to either go now or next time by. Burbergal, I think, will struggle to make another lap. But we'll have to wait and see. Around the final corner they go. Yes.
Yeah, that's Burbergal.
But the other three do not. That's interesting.
Yeah, I was very much expecting Winner to dive in there. If the Volcanoes didn't go in, I was expecting Winner to dive in and sort of call their bluff, as Naselli and Haycox had done. And that is McLeod.
Yeah, McLeod has just pitted as well, but Burbergal, of course, with the pole position, he is almost inside the pace car. In his pit box there, Mayer. He's been the unlucky one then in this scenario. He has ended up, look at that. He's done an incredible job to make it into his pit box.
Yeah, he had quite a parking scheme there. It's just, but he made it happen. Burbergal back out on track in P7, so that hasn't gone too terribly for him at all.
No, it hasn't. And he's got some lovely clear air ahead. Quite a few of the drivers ahead still have to pit. Actually, all of them still have to pit, of course. But the drivers right ahead of him are all probably going to pit this time by. I'm very confused by Winner's decision. I would have definitely thought he would pit earlier and use the clear air to try and actually get past. It's much easier to overtake someone based on time gained than it is to actually make an overtake on the circuit. But these three very, very close together, 0.4 of a second separating the three of them from Duran to Winner. They've got their names on the back of their cars, which makes it very easy for myself to figure out who is who. Let's see, are they all going to pit? Oh, Duran stays out, Winner stays out with him. Ogurka makes his way down into the pits. He will be in the third pit box. He has no need to worry about his pit box being in an awkward position.
And that's Lynn.
He's going to slot, that is Lynn. He's going to have to make a hard turn to the right. That's a little bit easier for him than it was for Mayer just moments ago. So that is Gorka, Lynn, Rays and West as well into the pits. Itheret leaving the pits. Let's see. There he goes. He's got his teammate around the outside. Let's see. I think Burbergal's just been overtaken by his own teammate. He has.
Wow.
Itheret up into potentially the provisional lead of the race, but he was behind Duran. Now that is potentially crucial for Duran. He might have just made his way up into the lead of the race.
Yeah, really interesting. You know what will be even more interesting is to see, I wonder if Winner is thinking to himself, you know what, I'm getting a free tow here. I'm saving all this gas by lifting and coasting and getting this free tow. Why would I bother to come in if I can let it go a little longer, take on less fuel? I'll be lighter toward the end of the race. Although now, here we are with under 10 minutes to go. The clock is ticking.
I'll be very, very, very surprised if these two drivers... Burbergal just got past Itheret, actually. They're side by side. Burbergal on the inside, 3 wide for a brief moment as someone gets out of the way. Burbergal back up into third. Duran and Winner, surely they're going to stop now as they head through the final corner on board with Winner. Let's have a look through the final corner. Surely they're going to dive to the right-hand side. Yes, they are. Into the pits.
Yes.
Hard on the brakes. A little bit of a left-hand kink there. There's no pit limit on these cars, so they've got to really be careful here. I believe Winner's actually coasting his way into his pit box. His pit box down in the 5th position, of course, after qualifying. That's how the pit boxes are ordered. Now, let's see. Burbergal. He is coming through the start-finish. Winner with a shorter pit stop. And he's made his way ahead of Duran just. He's going to make his way into the lead of the race. He's going to come out in front. Is he? It's going to be so close. Winner, he's a little bit slower than Burbergal, but he's made up that much of a gap. Winner's just played an absolute MasterCard, and he has just made his way up into the lead of the race.
Unbelievable. Oh, he has got to be really patting himself on the back right now to have a move like that work out. I wonder if he was, just thinking just as I said. But now, Dane, I think we've really got a race on our hands because these Volcano drivers can't sit back and take it easy anymore. They are going to have to do everything they can to get this race back into their clutches and out of those of Winners.
Absolutely, we know how powerful the draft is out of the hairpin all the way down to the chicane. Winner, has he maybe underfueled to try and gain that advantage? Is he going to have to save some fuel in the later stage of the race? Duran ahead, but not by much. Winner defending the inside line. It's going to become the outside for the next apex. They're still a bit side by side. Winner gets the door shut right in his face. Burbergal now right on the back of him. Winner in a thick volcano sandwich at the moment.
It's more of a volcano burrito with 3 cars, wrapped all the way around him. But great pass there on the part of Duran. It just had more pace and a little bit more confidence on the braking, didn't he, than Winner? As Winner is going to get passed again here. Burbergal side by side as they go into the carousel there, the Shell Oil corner. I think Burbergal might be able to make that stick.
No, it looks like Winner's actually got a better exit, actually. And he's got a bit of the draft as well. He is ahead. Burbergal will have the inside line into turn number 1, but Winner's already ahead. He swoops across, takes the apex, and is back up into second. Now, this could be a repeat of last week at Phillip Island, because that run from the hairpin down into the chicane, a very good overtaking opportunity.
Oh no, that's
Who
Maselli.
That is Maselli. He's dropping down the order as well now. That looks like it's in the Cascades, and yes, it is. Let's see. He was just on the back of this. I didn't actually see this happen. He's maybe outbroken himself. Oh, the rear has got away from him, and he's managed to get that stop pretty close to the circuit, which is good for him. But he still dropped down to 10th position, unfortunately. Let's look at Antonio Race, and I'm going to now realize he is currently leading his class. So good job from him in 14th position at the moment. But like I was just saying, could this be a repeat of Phillip Island, where we saw them playing a bit of a game towards the end of the race? No one wanted to be in front into that final corner, because the draft down to the start-finish line was so powerful that you would lose it straight away. It's a similar sort of story from the hairpin to the chicane. If you get it right, you can gain a considerable amount of time and maybe even make that overtake, because in the later part of the circuit there is nowhere that you can make an overtake. So with 5 minutes to go, I'll be seeing some mind games and some tricking and playing the system starting to take into effect here.
Well, as a great lover of cycling, track and road cycling, I've done a good bit of that style of racing myself. It's exactly the same. You don't want to be in the first position, as we see Winner going too wide and taking over the lead of the race. I don't think he's going to be able to hang on to it, but we'll see what happens here in turn 1. It looks like Duran has been able to stay in front there.
Oh, Burbergal, he's lost out. Winner's lost out. Burbergal trying to go around the outside. It's not going to work out for him. Gorka looked to the inside, but it's not going to work just about. Winner, is he going to be under attack once again? No, the gap is about 0.3 of a second. Burbergal letting past Gorka. Burbergal's gone from 1st to 4th in the space of a few laps. And Winner.
Nerves of steel.
Yeah, he definitely does. Now let's see. Can he get the run out of the hairpin needed to make the overtake work? If so, will he make the move, or will he leave it for another lap? Duran defending the inside line. Winner lifts off. He wasn't even trying to make an overtake there. And I think that might have been pretty reassuring for Winner there, because he had more than enough of a run to make a move. But
you wonder if
can he make the move stick?
I wonder if what's playing in the back of his mind before he tries to make that move is, wait a minute, we got a couple of laps to go here, and I might have underfueled myself. I got that short pit stop. So he might not want the lead just yet. I want it for him just because of that masterful pit stop.
We saw him try and play the system at Phillip Island. Just didn't work out. And I'm talking margins of 0.02 of a second. So it's going to be interesting to see. 3 minutes to go, 2 laps to go. Here at Oulton Park for round 11. Winner following Duran, who we're riding on board with at the moment. As I say that, we cut back to TV cameras, and we've got Duran leading, Winner in second, just by 0.2 of a second. Iterette behind them with Berbagal dropping back. Has he potentially underfueled the car? Because he is still dropping back now. Haycox 3 seconds behind in 5th. Then it's De Beck, Schneider, Lindbohm, and Naselli in the top 10. Winner with a bit of a misshift there. But he is right on the back. Is he going to make a move into the hairpin? He thinks about it. Duran shuts the door. Duran didn't have a good exit out of the hairpin. Is that what Winner needed? Winner's now right on the back. He's got the draft. Duran, I'm expecting him to stay to the right. He does. Winner has to move to the outside now. He's going to get squeezed by Duran. It's a move for the lead with just 2 minutes to go. Winner, he's alongside but not quite ahead. Into the braking zone they go. Around the outside, Winner's not made it. He's not had it done. He's going to stay back in second. He's got Gorka all over the back of him, but crucially, Duran leads as they head into the final few corners for the penultimate time. Just 1 and a few corners worth of racing to go in towards probably the most difficult corner on the circuit. Once again, the 4 drivers separated by absolutely nothing. Race has lost the Spec 2 lead. He's dropping down the order as well. It's all kicking off here at the end. Winner, was he looking to the outside in the final corner? Yes, he was. He wants the lead now. No, he doesn't. He wants to cut back. He's making a move. As we hear our race director? No, the producer, Marco Barbanera, in our ear saying white flag, white flag. The white flag is in the
Winner here.
Winner up the inside of Duran. They're still side by side. We've seen Duran hold it around the outside once. And he does it again. Gorka side by side with Winner. Big squeeze from Winner there. Gorka up to the inside. Gorka wants this win for himself. He just about doesn't make it work. He got too heavy on the curb. He's going to run wide slightly. Winner right on the back of Duran now. He looks to the inside. Duran defends a bit, but he leaves that wide open because he knows the hairpin is up next. Holding it around the outside. Winner on the inside. Almost contact. Winner is sideways. How has he caught that? I will never know. And he's turned by a turret and he's into the wall. He's dropping down the order. So unfortunate for him, but Duran is almost guaranteed the win now. So unlucky there, Winner. How did he save this? I will never know. Slight contact, so sideways there. Such a tricky place, and then it's a little bit of netcode involved in that one as well, but Winner sent around. He won't know that. He will be fuming inside of that helmet. Duran, though, has just been gifted the win because I don't think he would have kept it if Winner was still behind him as they headed into the chicane. That is so unfortunate. I think we've just been robbed of a really exciting finish, but it is Duran around the final few corners. He comes then with Iterette just behind, and their Volcano teammate of Berbagal in the 23 car just behind them. Around the final corner they go. Just one exit to get done. There it is. The checkered flag is waving. And it is Duran in the number 10 car who takes the win here at Oulton Park for round number 11. Gorka takes second and Berbagal makes the Volcano 1, 2 and 3. Haycox finishes in 4th and Winner, well, what could have been, he finishes in 5th. Let's have a look at all of the other drivers. Massive grid of cars that we've had today making their way across the line. The top 10 is Duran, Iterette, Berbagal, Haycox, Winner, De Beck, Schneider, Lin, Bohm and Naselli in the top 10 positions. Well, in a few moments time it's going to be time for my favorite part of the evening, and that is the demo derby, and I wonder what place the drivers have chosen for it this time this week. It's a good opportunity for the drivers to take out their frustrations on a driver, or just have some fun at the end of the race after a hard race. That is one driver that is off the circuit on the outside, getting out of the way, and that was outside of turn 1, I think, just running on straight.
I think that was Samuel Dick.
It might have been someone spun on the exit of the final corner. How unfortunate. I'm not entirely sure who that was, but yeah, very unfortunate for them. Let's see, where are the drivers? As we've got a replay coming up, and there it is, the spin, the 893 of Ian Gibson into the wall, and that is a sad Spec Racer Ford machine Indeed. Where are they going to do the demo derby? I really want to see it. It's my favorite part of the whole event. Let's see. As that looks like Bowen making his way to such an event. Well, while we wait for that, it looks like everyone has just made it to the finish line, I believe. And I think it's a good time to go through the results then, probably. As, oh, that is Sadro, with a sad face on his car, and he is just towed back to the pits. Aha! This is where they've chosen for the demo derby in the background, but it is Rodrigo Duran who takes another win for the season. He's just ahead of Gorka Itaret, who was in second, and Rafael Berbegal, of course, making it a Volcano 1, 2, and 3. Ian Haycock's in fourth. Austin Winner, once again, what could have been for him. He finishes in 5th. Michael de Beck in 6th then, with Alan Schneider in 7th, Yancy Lin in 8th, and David Bohm in 9th, with Naselli rounding out the top 10. Then Jeff Richard, Larry McLeod, Yoni Zoritz, Bob West, and Simon Mayer in 15th. Then Dan Sadro, Dominic Burrow, and Antonio Race rounding out the first screen of results. Then we've got Chris Murakami, Jim McGill, Brian Short, Adam Bradshaw. Whoa, that was a car flying across the screen there. Where was I? Samuel Dick in 23rd, Bob Kern, then Mitch Weatherly, Yuri Cox, Greg Stefani, Miro Hrasky in 28th. Car is airborne in the background. It's all going on in the demo derby. The cars, as I always love to say, they now resemble NASCAR modifieds more than anything else, as they are flipping around in the background of that shot. But yeah, the top 28, or the rest of the bottom half of the 28 on the screen at the moment. There we go. Jeff Jacobson was in 29th, with Tom Gradwell rounding out the top 30. Then Ken Batey, Paul Romaninski, Ian Gibson in 33rd, Paul Jackson, Mark Geehan, Gorka Starbay, Ed Doherty, Mick Carr, Just Simpkins rounding out the field. He was 16 laps down. He didn't finish the race. As we have beautiful pictures of cars completely destroyed. They look like mini NASCAR modifieds, but let's see. They're still going at it, despite the fact that their cars are smoking and they barely even function as cars at this point. Doing some improvised rallycross. I'd love to see it. Oh my goodness. 2 cars in the air over there, and lots of smoke. The drivers giving their cars a beating at the end of the race. Yeah, it's we love to see it. In the Spec Racer Ford Weekend Warriors Series, we're just gonna wait for some drivers to interview. We've got no one at the moment, which is very unusual. We normally have a whole flood of drivers wanting to have a chat with us, but while we wait for that, Jim, it was your first Spec Racer Ford Weekend Warriors event. What do you think?
Oh, I loved it. You know, I'm a big fan of the SRF cars. It was when I started doing iRacing, it was one of my favorite cars to drive. You know, it's you know, a little bit smaller form factor, but your purpose-built race car. You sit in the middle of the chassis, as you know. You know, mid-rear. What more could you possibly ask for? So yeah, it was a lot of fun and a lot of great racing today, up and down the timing tower, from the, you know, the head of the field all the way to the rear. Especially there on the front with the Volcano guys and Haycox and Winner and all that stuff that was going on. I mean, absolutely thrilling race. I know I was biting my fingernails right there at the end. I was on the I was on the edge of my seat. Unfortunate to see it develop the way it did, but I don't want to take anything away from Duran at all. I mean, you know, those guys drove a great race. So yeah, loved it. Can't wait to come back. Looking forward to next week.
Yeah, next week, the finale. It's going to be. Yeah, it's going to be an absolutely brilliant event. I can't wait for it. It should be an absolute blast. We've still not got anyone with just a few minutes left of our broadcast time, but yeah, 1 round left to go in the Spec Racer Ford Weekend Warrior Series presented by 42 Stitches, and if it's anything like what we've just seen at Oulton Park, it is going to be yet another thriller. I cannot wait to see who will be crowned champion, because of course Berbegal just had a big chunk of his championship lead taken away by Duran, so that's gonna come right down to the final round. Well, I've been in bed with Jim Hodgson alongside Marco Barbanera has been in the production booth, and that is all from Oulton Park for round 11 of the Spec Racer Ford Weekend Warriors presented by 42 Stitches. Do join us again next weekend at the same time for the finale. It is going to be definitely one that you do not want to miss. As I said, I've been Dean Baird with Jim Hodgson alongside Marco Barbanera in the production booth. Thank you for watching here on Apex Racing TV. Join us next week. But for now, from everyone at Apex Racing TV, we want to wish you a good night and happy racing.